It stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Okay, this time we'll go into the public portion. Anyone wishing to address the board may do so. Please state your name and address for the record.
Oh, sure.
Hello, my name is Margaret Paulson, and I've been an advocate for the Ivy Brook Greenway for quite a while. I'm going to introduce and talk a little about it. I'm going to introduce a petition that over 290 people signed to persuade you, the city of Shelton, to designate the Ivy Brook Greenway as a municipal park. Now, the Ivy Brook Greenway and the site on the left-hand side, going down Constitution from Route 8 to River Road, are the headwaters of the Ivy Brook. Currently, well, since '85, I've been an advocate for preserving the open space in and around the Ivy Brook. We bought our house from Chris Vargas, who created this area. At the time, there was no planning and zoning back in 1985. And the aldermen determined that the unbuilt lots were non-conforming and did not want the headwaters of the Ivy Brook built upon. Now there is a plan before the P&Z called 24-33, 24-18, and 24-19. Eventually, the guy wants to come in and build 23 houses on about 4 acres of land in the Greenway. It will do irreparable harm with the runoff from pesticides and fertilizers and litter. I know how damaging pesticides can be. My neighbor has used True Green for 30 years and has killed my 250-year-old red oak tree. It was only dead on her side. In addition to polluting the headwaters, the runoff impact will impact the fish in the river, the Houstonic River, and will reach the Sound. Development in this area would require blasting, endangering the neighborhood wells and septic systems, and disrupting the resident deer, fox, coyote populations that inhabit it. This area has a long history. In the 1700s, it was an Indian reservation and the first parish in Shelton. There is still a 2,000-year-old Indian rock shelter in this area. Area kids have always played in the woods, including the mayor, and would sometimes meet at the Big Rock, located by the end of Woonsocket, behind the Flynn's house on Sunset. The small lot sizes were created from garden plots that were tended by the city co-workers or the city workers in the 30s and 40s, hence the name Quorum Gardens. This is the last buffer between Route 8, Bridgeport Avenue, downtown, Constitution, and now that Constitution is going to continue to go up. We're going to get increased traffic, increased trucks, and it's a very important buffer to keep that pollution down. I always enjoyed getting off the old 13, now the new 11, and just going down Constitution, and you could smell the fresh air created by this buffer. It absorbs carbon monoxide and light pollution as well. Right now, you know, we're abutted. We own 85 feet of Constitution Boulevard South on the corner of Plaskin, and we own an acre there. And from my house, an acre away, I could see all the light pollution between the trees now because of the lights. You know, in the front of the house, it's fine. It's all dark. You can see the stars. But with light pollution, that takes away from our children. There are a few regulations protecting the Ivy Brook, but fall short. Inlands and wetlands regulations, Appendix A 13, states all septic systems, leaching fields, and construction must be kept 75 feet of the Ivy Brook. It doesn't stipulate watershed. If it was the watershed, then that would be more of a buffer. Right now, the inland wetlands is going to meet at 6 and discussing this very project. I've witnessed the Ivy Brook for the last 100 years, the 100-year flood, and it turns into a raging rapids that go far beyond the buffer. I brought you some maps to look at describing the buffer.
Margaret, how much more do you have? Because we do have a 5-minute limit.
Not much. Did I pass it already? Okay, on page 2 is a map. All the green areas are Shelton Land Trust. The orange areas are City of Shelton. And the yellow area, the 3 large areas here are where the proposed development is going to go. I would like the city to intervene in some sort and declare endangered woodland wetland, if that could be done. There are a number of projects that could fund this endeavor. It's on the second page with DEP grants. There's a newer WW2 initiative that protects tributaries of Long Island Sound. And there's also a possibility of selling carbon offsets, which is a reoccurring yearly income. The last map is the floodplain, a GIS floodplain, which you see his development would basically destroy the wetlands. So I am imploring the city of Shelton to intervene in any way they could possibly do to preserve this area. Thank you.
I would offer you one suggestion is that if and when this becomes before the Wetlands Commission and the Planning and Zoning Commission, that you ask them to do those studies. Those would be the appropriate boards to make that request. And they have the authority to do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Bloom, your time is cut in half.
I'm checking the clock.
I know, I saw you.
Hi. Good afternoon, all. Looking at the itinerary for tonight, and the thing that sticks out in my eyes here is you want to purchase a new dump truck for the city. I've seen your dump trucks on the road. They seem to be working fine. I don't know why the city thinks it needs another dump truck. Let me get rid of the small stuff first. I'd like to remind you all, well, Mayor Loretti, that please do not have Santa Claus riding the fire truck again this year with lights and sirens. I don't mind if he throws candy out to everyone watching, waves happily, but please don't use the lights and sirens. I guess we're going to skip the roll call as usual. Okay. So we have the letter from July of last summer that Alderman McPherson sent me, and I read into the record, that was last month, on how you the mayor and the highway and bridges have been assured that this issue on the list will be addressed. It was December. There's been no work done on the road down to the Riverview Park. Although it seems that Shelton has plenty of asphalt. 2 days ago, it was paving Coram Road, the end of Coram Road. Didn't need it, had asphalt down there already, but that's what you all did. Also, please, in lieu of a lack of an executive order, which I have been requesting Mayor already to execute, similar to the one in Schenectady, New York. I'm assuming you haven't done that yet, or probably never will. And encourage at least posting at the entrances on City Hall that it is a limited public forum to ensure that the frauditors don't have their way. Speaking of which, no. Apopka, Florida has passed a new ordinance affecting frauditors. They're taking action against them. It's only 24 minutes long. You can look that up on the YouTube internet. Lucid Dream, that's what she calls herself. She's pretty good. Also, Sean Paul Reyes, AKA Long Island Audit. He's one of the most notorious of the frauditors out there. Recently, he was surprised as he entered a government building to do what he calls an audit. He was surprised to see his mugshot posted at the reception desk with orders banning him from the facility. This is how notorious this guy is. He didn't like that. He's also has another court date coming up for, I think it's trespassing again. On the good side of all this, though, there was a S. Elmo is his name. We call Enrique, excuse me. He did his usual shtick, going to a post office, sticking his hammer in someone's face and pissing them off. He did this to a female fighter. She makes a living in the octagon. And she slapped the phone away from her face. He then stalked her out of the post office, down the street, and then, well, she did something I've never seen, the most awesome thing I've ever seen a woman do besides give birth. And if you want to know, look it up. It is, 17 minutes long on Florida Troll. Really blew me away. Also, next month, we have our new president coming in again. Well, and I'm wondering, Mayor, if you would please instruct the Shelton PD to assist ICE in rounding up the illegal aliens here in town. Also, do we have that new city flag? I don't see it anywhere. I think that's it. Yeah.
I'll let you go past the 5-minute mark, only because it's December,
All right, I'm
it's
done.
Christmas.
Thank you.
I know what a fan of Christmas you are.
Yes.
Oh,
That's a
boy.
decoration, buddy.
Yeah. Okay, moving along, minutes for approval. 1-1, the Board of Aldermen regular meeting of November 14th, 2024.
Moved away. Moved away moved away to reading and approve the minutes of the Board of Aldermen meeting of
November 14th.
November 14th, 2024.
Second. Motion is made second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion carries. Item 5.1, Finance Committee, no items. Item 5.2, Public Health and Safety Committee, no items. Item 5.3, Street Committee, no items. I have no report.
I have no report.
Item 6, Legislative Old, there are 6.1A, there are no items, nothing from public hearing. Item 7, Old Business, there are no items. And item 8, Financial Business, new. 8.1 is December statutory refund. Okay, let's take 8.1, then we'll go back and we'll add.
Okay,
We need to add on the
We
two
know.
add-ons.
We know.
Yep.
We know.
That's usually first.
I know. We're not usual right now.
I know.
okay.
Mr. Bloom threw us off.
Move that the report of tax collector relative to the refund of taxes. Can you hear me out there? Okay, move
Better.
that the report of tax collector relative to the refund of taxes for a total amount of $16,571.06 be approved, and that the finance director be directed to make payments in accordance with the certified list received from the tax collector with funds to come from the statutory refunds account. So moved.
Second. Motion is made and second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we'll go back and we have a couple add-ons for the agenda. Item 8.8 and 8.9.
Move to add to the agenda as item 8.8, funding for purchase and repair of trucks for highways and bridges. 8.9, funding for replacement of parts for highways and bridges equipment. So moved.
Second.
Motion is made and second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, takes us back to item 8.2, funding for community development block grant.
Whereas the city of Shelton has been awarded the U.S. HUD fiscal year 2024 Community Development Block Grant in an amount of $191,032. And whereas the city of Shelton accepted the grant at the June 13, 2024 Board of Aldermen regular meeting. And whereas the city of Shelton agreed to fund the upcoming activities, including public service, public facilities, and administration fees. Now therefore, the Board of Aldermen moved to appropriate an amount of $191,032 with funding to come from the general fund surplus to be reimbursed to the city of Shelton by U.S. HUD. So moved.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.3 is the funding for bus parts for Shelton Student Transportation Services.
Move to appropriate an amount of $391,476 for bus parts for Shelton Student Transportation Services with funding to come from American Rescue Plan Act funds. So moved.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. For discussion purposes, I would note that this dollar amount also reflects inventory that would include 2 engines, 2 transmissions. It also includes hardware for Tyler Tech, which is the hardware and software that goes with on the school buses that allows the bus drivers to communicate with the Board of Education and parents of students that they're transporting. Also includes a variety of other parts that we have procured and that we have installed as part of the maintenance program on our buses. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.4 is funding for the purchase of dump trucks for Public Works Department.
Move per the recommendation of the finance director to waive the bidding process for the purchase of a Mason dump truck for the Public Works Department in an amount of $73,000 with funding to come from American Rescue Plan Act funds. So moved.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded, and for discussion purposes, the actual price of the truck was $67,000. we're anticipating that we're gonna have to outfit it with a plow and a sander that will, and I'm not sure what the cost is gonna be, but it'll be somewhere in those neighborhoods based on what we've done in the past. I also wanted to note that you may remember this, but the Board of Education requested $50,000 to buy a new one of these trucks. And I told them that I wasn't gonna do that because if anybody was gonna get a new truck, it was gonna be the city department that would utilize it just about every single day of the year, including snow plowing, as opposed to someone who just wanted to, use it for snow plowing and then let it sit there the rest of the time because they really don't have a use for a truck like that. So what I told them is that we would buy the new truck for our public works and parks department, and that we would send them one of our used trucks that is, that we're using now for their use for snow plowing, if they wanted to contribute some towards our snow plowing efforts.
They snow plow their own.
No, no. Sometimes it is helpful in heavier snowstorms if they had a vehicle there. It is, but sometimes, most of the time, as you know, the last couple of years, it's not. But I mean, that's a roll of the dice. So I'm not gonna be overly critical of that. I'm not gonna push away help when, when we're having a tough time. The guys are working 30 hours straight. So that's it. Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.5 is funding for the emergency repairs for the fire main breaks at SHS and water main break at Booth Hill School.
Move to appropriate the amount of $18,839.82 for emergency services performed by Griffin Brothers Excavation for a fire main break repair at Shelton High School and a water main break repair at Booth Hill School, with funding to come from Aldermen funding pursuant to section 7.16 of the city charter. So moved.
Second.
Motion is made in second and discussion. I would caution the board that if any other requests come in for capital projects that, we have already given them $200,000 for miscellaneous projects and that I'm not sure that they've spent any of the money that was allocated in their budget for maintenance. And we're halfway through. Just an FYI. Which one, that someone's paying attention.
Is there, we don't have any kind of insurance for this, like a lot of people, I get requests for all the time for, they don't have it for these schools.
No. I can't tell you when the last time something like this happened. I mean, it happens, but it's so
I think I was from St. Joseph, one company.
far and few in between. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.6 is the rescission of previous unspent American Rescue Plan Act funds.
Move to rescind the previous unspent balance of American Rescue Plan Act funds.
Second.
Motion is made in second. Any discussion?
What was the unspent balance?
I'm gonna say somewhere in the neighborhood of 350,000. So it got reappropriated, the things that we're doing tonight, because we have an obligation to expire all those funds by December 30th this year. All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item 8.7 is the funding for new turnout gear lockers at Pine Rock Park Firehouse.
Move with pleasure to appropriate an amount of $17,322.50 for the purchase and installation of new turnout gear lockers at Pine Rock Park Firehouse, with funding to come from American Rescue Plan Act funds. So moved.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded for discussion purposes, so that unspent balance is being spent on stuff like this. All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.8 is funding for the purchase and repair of trucks for highways and bridges.
Move for the recommendation of the finance director to waive the bidding process for the purchase and repair of 3 plow trucks from the state of Connecticut for the Highways and Bridges Department, with funding in the amount of $55,000 to come from American Rescue Plan Act funds. So moved.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded, for discussion purposes. The note at the bottom is not correct, where it says that the total for the trucks is 38,000. The total is somewhere around 30,000. And that we're asking for, a balance of 25,000 to, make any necessary repairs to this truck. As an example, if you go to the packet, you'll see that the 2007 International is listed for $3,000 for purchase. The state believes that it has a bad motor in it, or they're not sure, and that they don't want to spend any more money on repairing it. And so with discussions with Highways and Bridges, the body on the truck alone is worth probably about $10,000 because it's a stainless steel body. In fact, maybe more. And so I don't see where we can get hurt. The frame is good on it. The body's good on it. It's got a plow and a sander that goes with it. That has value far above $3,000. And so if I spent 15 or 20,000 to put a new motor in it, it's not like we drive these trucks 200-300 miles a day, with the exception of snowstorms. They're used around town, unlike state trucks where they're across the highways and they're racking up a lot of highway miles. So I think that this is a pretty good value, and that's why I think we're gonna, we've done this in the past. This is not new.
How many miles does 207 have on it? I can't seem to figure it out.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.9 is the funding for the replacement of parts for highways and bridges equipment.
Move to appropriate an amount of $26,478 for the replacement of parts for heavy-duty equipment, excavators, payloaders, backhoes, and the least at the Highways and Bridges Department, with funding to come from American Rescue Plan Act funds.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded for discussion purposes. This will exhaust our appropriation of American Rescue funds. These are examples of what we're going to use the money on. It would even include the rehabilitation of some of our garbage or waste collection trucks that we pick up the curbside MSW and recycling. So I mean, this won't go very far, but it's going to serve a very quick purpose. All those in favor? Are there any opposed? Motion carries. All right, this takes us to item number 9, legislative new. There are no items for public hearing. We have 9.2 is the appointment of the Water Pollution Control Authority.
Move to appoint Guido Pecorazzi to the Water Pollution Control Authority effective immediately. His name is Guido Pecorazzi, 24 Hawksbury Drive, Shelton, Connecticut. So moved.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
How many people are on the WPCA now? How many appoint the position?
I think there's 7.
Yeah, there's 7.
There's 7.
It's on the second page.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that.
So just as an FYI, coming to this board in January is discussion and possible revision or rescission of some of the ordinances that govern the WPGA that are set by the Board of Aldermen that were requested by the WPCA back in 2010. They are currently under review right now. We've got some significant changes that we have to start paying attention to with the WPCA, and that's what we're gonna do. Okay, there's no executive session, so at this time,
We need a vote. We had a second and then
We have to
this-
vote.
Oh, I thought we did. Razi.
need a vote.
I second.
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Are there any opposed? Okay, motion carries. So there's no executive session at this time. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.